This is USA Takedown. The best guests, all the hot news and predictions on the combat sports of wrestling and MMA with your hosts, the true Americans, Scott Casper and Zach Bogle. Connect with them now on social media and check out usatakedown.com. Now it's time for USA Takedown.
Back at it again on this wonderful fall day. Good morning, Zach. How's it going?
Good morning. A little chilly outside today, but that's all right.
1 week and counting. Not to the election. No, but to the wedding that is to take place next. When is it exactly?
October 24th. So
Wow.
A week from tomorrow.
Week from tomorrow.
Yeah.
Okay. I understand my invitation is in the mail.
Yep, it's on the way. It's on the way.
Am I taking, while you guys are gone, am I taking care of your dog?
You don't want that. You don't want that. No, we're taking him with us, and we'll figure that out once we get down there.
Well, congratulations to you, and tell everybody her name, or at least the name you want them to know.
For right now, it's Alexis Johnson.
Alexis.
Yeah, but soon to be Alexis Bogle. So.
Nice. Well, she's a beautiful girl, and I think you guys are going to be. You've been dating for a while.
Yeah. We 15 and 16 years old.
Wow.
We've been together for I don't know what it is now, like 8 years or something like that. And people always, they give me grief because I took a long time to, propose to her. I'm like, well, if I would propose to her within like 5 years, we would have been like 16, 17 years old.
Well, they do that in many parts of the world. You got a male child? Yeah. Okay. He's going to marry my daughter.
Yeah. Well, it's not like that nowadays, so.
Tell you what is pretty cool is our lineup of guests. You want to go through the guests from the bottom up?
Absolutely. I'm always excited for our guests. Today we have ACC reporter and Mac Geeks podcast host Jacob Hughley. We also have Allie Reagan on the show. We have University of Tennessee Chattanooga head coach Kyle Ruschel and 57 kilogram senior nationals champion Lauren Louie.
Yeah.
And also from Grow Wrestling and Blue Chip Athletic, who do we have? One of the
co-founders of Flow Wrestling. It was the very heart of Flow Wrestling back in the day. And I really enjoyed his content. I enjoyed his commentary. I enjoyed him as a person. I wrestled in Missouri, and he joins us now. There's Joe Williamson. They affectionately call him Flow Joe. I don't know if it's still me. He is Super Joe, super fan of the sport. Joe, good morning. How are you?
Hey, pretty good, Scott. How you doing? Good to be here.
Thanks for being on the Defense Soap Newsmaker hotline this morning. Talk to us a little bit about, and I'm not going to ask you to throw anybody under the bus. That's not the intention of the question. The question is, are you happy with where the media has taken our sport? Are you pleased? I mean, sure, there's always going to be some infighting. Everybody's got different ideas, but are we covering the sport better from your perspective than we were, say, 15 years ago?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's not even comparable. And I feel like we're on a boom right now. There's more and more outlets coming up, more and more live events, more and more people covering news. Stalemates. I mean, we're sitting here talking with Bogle.
Thank you.
One of the more exciting new opportunities for me as a wrestling fan. I think I'm really happy with it.
He's so funny.
Absolutely.
The Bogle. That's what we call him, the Bogle.
All right.
Bogle. No, he puts a great spin. What I find is I can laugh and then also get caught up on what's going on, and it's just super entertaining.
That's what I'm here for. I'm here to save time for everybody so they don't have to go through all the garbage that I have to read through. So.
But you do it chronologically, and I love that breakdown, and then a little bit tongue-in-cheek, too.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. Joe, for you, it's always been honesty. It's always been about honesty, presenting our sport that we love, right? In such a way that it attracts not just the wrestling fan. We've got those guys, okay? Those guys and gals. We've got them. And many of them are so passionate, but it's about the public at large. That's been perhaps the secret of our success, is that we talk to everybody else as well, because that's how we choose to grow our sport. And I know you've been largely in charge as the content creator of Grow Wrestling at Blue Chip Athletic. Talk to us about that position.
Yeah, well, creating content has always been what I love to do. Unfortunately, the other role that I have is a tournament director, and I'm like a novice there, so it's taken an incredible amount of time. And my goal is to become more efficient there and be able to focus more on content. So actually, what I've been doing lately is reaching out and trying to find some contributors to help bridge that gap to content until I can get on the scene a little bit more. But we do have some exciting things coming. I think we're going to start streaming a lot of local duels starting in Kansas City.
Oh, cool.
And then branch out, find some more contributors. I think, with technology and platforms now, we're going to have an ability to have so much wrestling. And, right now we're seeing the top level, but it's working its way down. And I think that's super important.
So grassroots, right?
Absolutely.
Let's go back to Zach. Zach?
Yeah, Joe, I want to talk to you a little bit about like the streaming stuff. So do you think how big of a role does this play in like the progression of like these kids getting so much better nowadays? Like the fact that they're able to have access on their computer or phone to so much content wrestling, whether it's technique or just watching it, kids older than them wrestle.
Oh, well, one reason why I think it'll help is, all right, you're going to have these diehards and they're going to all the different platforms. They're watching interviews. They're looking at technique, seeing high level wrestling. But I think when we start streaming more at the local level, then it's going to attract, more of the average, wrestler to pay attention to what's going on. They're going to want to see themselves, the people they're wrestling coming up, and then right in front of their face is going to be, David Taylor, Kyle Dake, and Kyle Snyder, interviews and technique, and they'll start paying attention to that, and it's gonna help drive excitement and their ability to compete at a higher level.
All right, so you brought it up. You brought up Kyle Snyder. Some people are out there insinuating that perhaps he faked an injury in Coralville, Iowa. Now,
really?
I've known Kyle for quite a good number of years. I know him to be a man of integrity, one that will compete at the drop of a hat. The insinuation that he somehow came up with a fake injury and Cale threw in the towel, right? I think, first of all, I think that is the wrong thing. I think it's doing him a disservice. Is it also doing a disservice to our sport?
Yeah, I think that's hogwash. I haven't read too much into that, but no, Kyle Snyder is world and Olympic champ. He's got integrity. That I just struggle to even think about him doing something like that. I don't even think it's a conversation.
Joe Williamson, our guest on the Defense Slope Newsmaker Hotline, as we broadcast to you out of the Wild Rose Casino Studios. It's USA Takedown. Kaz Bernbogle on Iowa Sports Leader, 1350 ESPN. Coming up, Lauren Louise, the rise of women's wrestling. You've been there from the beginning, Joe. You were one of those that supported women's wrestling. I was right there with you and others. The old guard coaches, for the most part, are gone. The ones that did not want women's wrestling because, that was change to them. But are we headed in the right direction as to how we present women's wrestling, endorse women's wrestling, and foster its growth?
Oh, absolutely. We were talking about it in terms of media, but in terms of women's wrestling, I remember I went to the 2004 Olympic team trials. It was the first year that it was going to be in the Olympics. And just in terms of the growth of the sport, the number of athletes, the coverage of the athletes, and the level of competition, what we're seeing today is absolutely amazing. And then getting opportunities to watch them compete is just increasing. It's super exciting, and I think it's really important for our sport. And then just anybody that's paying attention, it's as much their sport as any man's.
Right. And I like that. It's as much theirs as anybody's. And for us to not recognize them and endorse them and and really promote them, I think we're selling the sport short. The idea of wrestling to me is very inclusive. Race, color, creed, ethnicity, let's face it, male, female, it doesn't matter to me. If you want to wrestle, you should be given that opportunity, or you should earn the opportunity, better said, I think. But from Tulsa to Timbuktu, it doesn't matter. Women are really doing a good job of charging and leading the way. I'm seeing programs like Mark Cody's come right out of the box and have some success down at Presbyterian, but there are others in Texas, in the backyard, for example, Hawaii, California, that have known what women's wrestling is all along. It's a nice way for women to be able to continue an athletic pursuit, going to college, getting, in many cases, a free ride or a partial, and continuing to benefit what I believe to be, the greatest sport on planet Earth. Yeah?
Yeah, absolutely. And, we got to get it in every state at the high school level.
Yep.
In Missouri last year, it was the second year, and between year one and year two, I couldn't give you exact percentage, but the participation just went through the roof. And then the energy at Mizzou Arena at the state tournament was extremely exciting. And then next door, Kansas just added it last year. I can't wait to see, the growth between year one and two there. So it's just asinine to me that it's not in 50 states right now.
I couldn't agree with you more, Zach. What is your take on women's wrestling? I mean, we've got Lauren Louise, we've got Allie Reagan, both on the show. Unintentional is the conversation, even though that they are waiting in the wings. I still believe that women's wrestling has so much to give, and we're just touching the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah, I mean, something that I've been trying to navigate, like only doing my show for the past since April, however long ago that was.
Can you remember back that far?
Barely. So, like, how much responsibility, I guess, does the media have in like making sure that the storylines of these women athletes, these female athletes, gets out there, right? So, I had Jenna Burkett on my show, and when I had her on, I made sure to ask her, who are some of the storylines that the fans can follow along? What are my show, I talk about the rivalries all the time, right? People getting into beefs and whatnot. What is the rivalries out there, right? Because that's what makes the average fan want to pay attention. Who's going to get the better end of rivalries and everything like that. So I think, how much responsibility does the media play in making sure that, their sport grows just as much as the men's grows? Joe?
Sorry?
For the women, how much responsibility does the media play in like making sure that we get their storylines out there?
Oh, well, a huge part. Like, if there's no storylines, then it's just two people competing. Some people will just watch wrestling like that, but as well as I do,
right?
That as soon as there's a storyline, as soon as there's a reason for these two people to go scrap, that's what makes it exciting. Mm-hmm. So the more and more storylines that we get out there, the matches on this side are going to be as important as Kyle Dake wrestling David Taylor.
Yeah, and I think we've seen that a lot in I don't know how much you pay attention to MMA, but we see that a lot in the UFC and Bellator. I think Dana White and company, they've all done a really good job of promoting, who the rivalries are in the women's division, and you'd love to see it.
Well, they took a page out of, I think, the Pro Wrestling Handbook on that for UFC guys and gals. I mean, that's for real. It really has become for real, and we've seen it most recently evidenced in the Twitter war between Jordan Burroughs, David Taylor, and Kyle Dake, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Did you appreciate that, Joe?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important. Back when I was competing, the way I learned was you go out there, you wrestle, you get your hand raised or not, and then you walk off the mat. Now, and I know a lot of people believe, that's what you're supposed to do, and it's like a respect thing, but I think that it's important to have some attitude. I think, having a little bit of flair that gets the crowd going on the mat and then through social media is absolutely going to, boost what's going on throughout the community and drive engagement with wrestling.
I've got to, as we approach the end of the segment, but always goes by so quick. I do want to take a moment and thank you. Folks, we've been talking with Joe Williamson. He's not just a writer. He's not just a promoter. He's not just a tournament director. He's one of the very heartbeats of our sport. He's a guy that no matter what, no matter who he's worked for or worked with, I've always admired Joe because he is as middle of the road as you can possibly get, always looking for a better way to present our sport to the public and for the fans. He's always looking for that opportunity. And Joe, I thank you because no matter what kind of dirt was being thrown around, you always came out clean and always with your head held high, nothing to be ashamed of. You always did a great job, and you continue to do so. Blue Chip is lucky to have you.
Well, I appreciate that, Scott, and thank you for everything that you've done for wrestling and given us some entertainment as well. Same to you, Zach.
Thank you, Joe.
What's next for you, Joe?
So, interesting time. The high school season's starting. They have a big tournament in December, the Kansas City Stampede, that unfortunately we just had to cancel, due to like COVID regulations.
Sure.
So, in lieu of that, we're putting together a tournament around the same time. It's going to be a youth tournament. We're calling it the Fight Before Christmas at Hy-Vee. Seasons Beatings is the tagline. We're pretty happy with that. That's going to be at Hy-Vee Arena in Kansas City on December 19th. So, it's kind of a late ad, but I know people want to wrestle. We got to find a way to do it safely.
Sure.
But we're excited for that. So
does USA have the formula?
Well, we've been working around, we pay attention to what's the Jackson County regulations, and then we work strong with Hy-Vee on safety plans so that we can do everything right, things like splitting sessions and limiting the amount of people. But to me, it's important that we're wrestling. So I was being really cautious earlier on in like the quarantine. And what I had noticed is I have a 3-year-old, and after a while his behavior started changing.
Yep.
And socially he was just a little bit different. And at that point, my wife and I thought, man, it's time for him to get back in school. Like he's getting hurt worse being out of that environment.
Right.
And so at that same time I thought, man, what would I have done without wrestling? I'd been in trouble. Got to find ways to safely get kids on the mat and doing a healthy activity like wrestling. So we're focusing a lot on that.
I'm glad you are. Joe Williamson has been our guest on the Defense Soap Newsmaker Hotline. Not just content creator at Grow Wrestling at Blue Chip Athletic. No, he's so much more. He's the very heartbeat of our sport. We need more guys like Joe. Be like Joe, not Mike. Be like Joe. I want to see that on T-shirts, by the way. I'd like to see that on T-shirts. Be like Joe. Joe, thanks for the time today, brother. I appreciate it. It's always good to connect and catch up with you. And anytime you got an event coming up, let me know if I can be of help as an announcer or whatever you need. All you got to do is call. I appreciate
that.
Happy
all right, guys.
Thank you so much. Best to everybody at Blue Chip.
All right. Take care.
There we go. Joe Williamson. I love that guy. That's common. You'll never hear anybody say anything ill about Joe Williamson.
I've been trying to find somebody to say something about him, so maybe I can make a video, but I just can't find one.
Even Willie. Willie's very positive about Joe.
Yeah, I bet he is, man.
Yeah. But appreciate you listening on this very beautiful fall day. I got to tell you, it is absolutely gorgeous. All right. So we don't have it on our website, but it hopefully will be there next week. If you've got a brand, a logo that you want people to see, piece of cake. Check out our friends at HassleFreeStores.com. They'll build you a custom online retail store with a wide range of products for your fans and customers to choose from at no charge. You heard me right. I said no charge. No hassle to you. No inventory, no cash outlay, no hassle. It's very basic. Visit them online at HassleFreeStores.com. From employee uniforms, jackets, all kinds of shirts, hats, decanters, corkscrews, baby clothes, shoes, and so much more, all with your logo and slogan. Can you imagine that? You've got a website. What's missing? An opportunity for you to get your brand out there, make a little bit of money on the other side. It's all hassle-free with HassleFreeStores.com.
The Coverage of wrestling and MMA continues after this timeout here on USA Takedown. Only on Iowa's sports leader, 1350 ESPN.
Hi, it's Danny Bishop. Today's economy presents certain challenges, and along with those come opportunities. The potential rewards are for those who are adept at identifying long-term trends. Don Boyd and his team of financial advisors at 5 Talents Financial Management Group can help you navigate today's economy. Whether you're facing retirement or just looking to better understand certain investment ideas, they can help you. 5 Talents Financial Management Group's first priority is your overall financial success. And that's why they learn about your individual situation, identify your dreams and goals, and get a picture of your tolerance for risk. Long-term relationships that encourage open and honest communication are the cornerstone of their foundation of success. FTFMG.com or call 223-7487, 223-7487, 5 Talents Financial Management Group.
The term barbarian was first used in ancient Greece. The athletes were said to be barbarians. Today's modern athletes embrace the hard work when wearing the great gear from Barbarian Apparel. You make the choice: custom graphics, the best sublimation, colors that pop, and logos that matter. Barbarian provides great service before and after the process. Make the right choice. Choose Barbarian Apparel. BarbarianApparel.com. Welcome back to the show from the Wild Rose Casino Studios. And by the way, Wild Rose up and at it across the state of Iowa. Clinton, Emmitsburg, and Jefferson, the one closest to me, where Travis Dvorak is the GM, man. He has got it going on. Always looking for opportunities to give away cars, trips, cash. I mean, there's one cat that won 2 jackpots on the same machine within a half hour.
It wasn't me.
No, it was not you, and nor was it me.
I wish it was.
And I'm going to ask him why it wasn't me, because it could have been me.
Are you superstitious? If you gamble, you bring anything with you?
Yeah, I bring my wife. She's
good luck charm?
It's her money, not
or does
mine.
she pull you out of there?
No. I'm the guy that generally walks around watching everybody else gamble to see, because my money is derived from our advertisers. Our advertisers, I have this firm belief that they believe in our product, and my first goal is to pay for our time to be on the air, to promote our sport. And if they see me sitting at a machine or at a table, what does that say really about how much I respect our advertisers, right? I know I take it a little bit too far sometimes, but at the same time, I have a respect for our athletes. Listen, I've sat and watched some of our greatest coaches. Tom Minkle, for example, now retired from Michigan State. But I will tell you that Tom Minkel's been kicked out of more casinos in Las Vegas because he is a master card counter. Dude is so good, and they know it. They know when Minkle sits down at a table, chances are he's going to be there for 20, 30, 40 minutes, and that's it. They will ask him to leave.
So that actually works. You can actually count cards.
Oh,
it's
you
not just
know it.
It's just not just a movie thing.
Well, it's a formula.
Really?
There's a formula to counting cards, and he's got it mastered, does Tom Minkle. So it was just his birthday about 2 weeks ago. We extend an extended birthday wish out to Tom Minkle, one of my great friends in the sport, longtime head coach of Michigan State. We go to our next guest. Do you want to do the introduction?
Yeah, absolutely. We just got done talking about women's wrestling.
Yep.
What better way to bring a guest on? We have the 2020 57-kilogram senior nationals champion.
Is it kilogram or kilogram?
I think kilogram.
Either way, she makes it look good. Is the senior national champ, Lauren Louise. Lauren, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I'm great. How are you?
You've got a sister, right?
I do.
What's your sister's name?
Leanne.
Leanne Louise. Right.
Yes.
Okay. Now, because we're friends on Facebook, on the social media, right?
Yes.
I think we are. Okay. But I think I saw her post something. Is she also a wrestler?
She is not. She's
What?
actually she's a cowgirl, so she does barrel racing and mounted shooting.
Now, don't you do some of that as well?
I do. Yeah, we grew up doing it. So my mom always jokes and said I could ride horses before I could walk.
Now, do you also, when you say mounted shooting, I've seen these pictures of Leanne, but do you also do mounted shooting?
I do.
Describe what
I'm a
that
very
is.
beginner, though.
But describe for our listeners what mounted shooting is.
So you're on horseback, and there's 10 balloons, and there's a set pattern, and you can run it any direction you want, any way you want. Fastest time wins, and you want to shoot all the balloons. There's balloons at the top of these stakes, and you have to run this pattern in a way, and you shoot the balloons. And if you shoot all the balloons, you're a clean shooter, and the fastest time wins. If you miss a balloon, it's plus 5-second penalty to your time.
Oh, wow. So
yeah, you're shooting with 45.
So 45, but what's the load?
Oh, it's a blank. So you're shooting blanks so that, no injuries or anything.
Right. My good friends, Bob and Becky Munden, were both the fastest and most accurate draws in the world.
Oh, wow.
And they both have since passed out of Montana. But I worked with them many times over the years, and Bob would also take apart a weapon, right, a gun, most notably the what is known as the gun that won the West, as it were, but the
Wow.
6-shooter. So he'd take it apart and he would file the trigger mechanism down, so just touching the trigger, the gun would go off. So you had to be very, very careful. But when he was doing demonstrations, a lot of times he would load the shell with either salt pellets or something smaller that would be not dangerous to anybody around, but would achieve the intended result, and that was the balloon targets, etc. But
Nice.
Can you shoot a hole in the middle of a quarter or a $50?
I've never tried.
I would like to see that. Let's roll tape. Lauren, moving on to wrestling, imagine that. You mastered, and when you and I set this up, by the way, and I want to let everybody know that you and I agreed to do this interview about 3-4 weeks ago. And I said, let's do it after you've won the senior nationals. Do you remember that?
I do, yes.
and I don't know what you thought of the smart aleck that I am saying that, but I have always had ultimate belief in you, and you apparently have it in yourself as well. Where does that come from?
Consistently doing all the things, that you need to do in order to be successful. Whatever those things may be, and they're different for every person, but consistently doing those things to build that confidence and that trust in yourself.
Lauren Louise, our guest. Lauren, where are you making home now?
I am in Colorado Springs, Colorado.
Okay. And at one time, did you live in Iowa City?
I did. I lived in Iowa City about a year ago, and I was there for 4 years.
So are you still sponsored at all by the Hawkeye Wrestling Club and the New York AC?
I am sponsored by the New York AC, but I am not with the Hawkeye Wrestling Club any longer.
Okay. So there's always going to be changes and fluctuations, and that creates a healthy atmosphere, in my estimation. Would you agree with that?
Oh, yes, for sure.
It's a long way from, is it Massillon, Ohio?
Oh, Massillon. Yes, Massillon,
yeah, I'm just
Ohio.
joking with you. A lot of people go, well, it must be Massillon, but no, Massillon, Ohio. And it was Washington High School, right?
Yes, sir.
How old were you when you started wrestling?
I was in 8th grade.
8th grade, and who got you started? Do you remember?
Yeah, I actually, it was my little brother, and, it was a couple of things. He would come home and just, I'd, be sitting there relaxing, watching TV or whatever, 8th graders do. And he'd just jump on me and start wrestling and check out my new move I learned today. And, and we would just start fighting basically. And I was like, that's it. And I remember we went to this big competition, and he was farm kid strong. So he would win everything, not necessarily on technique, but on strength and grit. And he won all the big competitions, and we went to whatever this big one was, his 4th or 5th year. And, the mindset stuff is coming into play now. He's understanding, what these competitions mean and things like that. And we went, and he lost in the finals to a kid he probably should have destroyed. And I was like, I would have beat that kid. On the moves that I know, I would have beat that kid. So I was like, that's it. I'm going out for wrestling. And my parents were like, oh no, please don't.
Yeah. And the rest, as they say, is history. We were just talking with Joe, otherwise known as Joe Flo, from Blue Chip. And we talked about the importance of women's wrestling, where it's at today. Are we happy? I'd like to see our numbers double in women's wrestling. I'd like to see every state have a high school championship for girls. What is your take on women's wrestling, where we are, where we were, and further where we're going?
Where we are is we've definitely progressed. Mm-hmm. And, of course we're not satisfied with where we are. We want better. We want more. We want to continue to grow, but it is definitely progress from where we've come. There's like, I'm going to say, and I'm probably wrong because the numbers keep growing, but it's like 63 colleges that offer scholarships to women, at different divisions, 1, 2, 3, NAIA, all different divisions, right? But there are 63. When I started in college, there were 5.
Right.
And so we have grown immensely, along with the same, you're saying at the high school level, with having women's wrestling sanctioned at the high school level. It has grown so much, from when I'm in high school. And not only that it's being sanctioned, but that people are fighting for it to be sanctioned, that people want it to be sanctioned, Just a few years ago, people were not, it was weird, that girls wrestled, or, and uncommon and, frankly, unwanted by some, but that's changing and that's growing, and people are seeing the benefit and people are fighting for it. And that's huge. We'll get to where we want to be because we have the people fighting for it, and we have the people seeing the value and investing in it. And that's huge. And we're only going to continue to grow at all levels, I believe.
Presbyterian College, the home of Mark Cody, and a very talented team of coaches, I must say. When they added wrestling, they added men's and women's. Actually, they added women's and men's, and the women stepped up first. In their first year of competition, they had finalists and champions both at the for the women. And I think I've always said, if you have a women's program, you don't have to worry about the men's program. It's not going to be in danger as long as there's a good balance there. What we're seeing young women go into college and bring with them a great academic prowess, and they're bringing the men's program along with it. I think leadership from the women is so very strong right now, and it's only getting stronger.
Yeah, I agree.
University of the Cumberlands. Tell us about your experience there.
I competed for the University of the Cumberlands for 5 years, during in which I got my undergraduate degree. And once I graduated, I continued on to my master's program and training there. So for another 2 years. So I was there for 7 years.
Wow.
It was quite a bit of time at one university.
But obviously it was good for you. What is next for you? You've won the senior nationals. I get that, right? So, and 57 kilos, great weight for you. But what's next for you competitively?
Well, we'll see what's on the board. It was just announced a few days ago that there will be a World Championships. And, from my understanding, we don't know yet if the U.S. will send a team. So waiting to hear word on that, and whether or not we're going to send a team, and if there will be a World Team Trials. So we'll be finding out pretty quickly all of that information. The Worlds will be in December. So we'll need to know soon here. So we'll see what USA Wrestling comes up with competition-wise, and I'll be there.
I would like to see USA Wrestling have some prep events to get you guys on track for international competition, because believe me, fans, they did not stop wrestling in Turkey. They did not stop wrestling in Russia. They did not stop wrestling in Japan. I remember so very well Paris, okay? I remember the performance of Team USA, and the world was stunned. I wasn't. I had confidence in our women, and you know what? My confidence is even stronger today because of athletes just like you. Who are some of those on the team that you pal around with, that you work out with, that you look forward to being in touch with?
All the girls at the Olympic Training Center that are training there now. Really, we're all pretty close, and great training partners and friends on and off the mat. So Jakara Winchester, Amy Ferenside, Sarah Hildebrandt, Erin Golston, Adeline Gray, Tamara Mensa. Those are just some of the girls training there.
I love Erin. Well, I love them all. I do. Because you guys, first of all, you're always so dang happy. I mean, it's very contagious. That it makes people want to be behind you, and I just find it terrific. Let's go to Zach Bogle. Zach.
Yeah, Lauren, I want to talk about your senior nationals finals match. You faced a very young opponent, an 18-year-old Moda Pettis. What's it like wrestling these younger girls? Are you seeing like a pretty big progression from the time when you were 18 to like what the 18-year-olds now?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean, again, with the growth of women's wrestling, we are seeing those young women, having more skills, being more competitive at the younger age, sooner. And yeah, that's huge. I did not know who she was until, I faced her and things like that. And she's very competitive.
Was it, were you game planning for anybody for the finals match or did you look past her maybe at all, or?
You can never look past anyone. That's how you get beat. But you never look past anyone. All I was really focusing on is myself and competing the way that I knew that I wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
So win or loss, I would be able to live with myself. Be able to be content with the way that I performed. So no matter the opponent, I guess I really wasn't game planning for anyone. I was game planning for myself.
If you take care of yourself, and let me see if I'm reading into what you're saying, reading at least what I'm getting out of it. If you take care of your own game plan, everybody else must wrestle to you. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think Gable said that best too. By the way, congratulations to Dan Gable, the Presidential Medal of Freedom, huh?
Yes, that was awesome.
How cool is that? I love that. And
very cool.
The next step is and hopefully as much impact as we've had on that, I would like to think that he would also be a great leader for the President's Council on Physical Fitness. What do you think of that?
Yeah. Yeah, that would be, yeah.
I'm just saying, if we got a wrestler in Washington, D.C., let it be Gable. Or Tom Ryan's busy. Gable. Okay. Anyway, this portion of our show brought to you by PBS Landscaping, most recently voted the most outstanding landscaping company in the state. So good job out of PBS and Matt Kaldenberg. Nice job there. Also by Mullet's Restaurant, who, by the way, Mullet's best breakfast ever, and they love wrestlers. There is the Gable table at the Mullet's Restaurant. They're going to be putting a picture of the Presidential Medal of Freedom above the table. Danny Bishop, I know you eat there a lot, as I do.
Do they have hash browns?
Of course they have hash browns.
Of course they do.
All right.
They're delicious.
2019 Final X runner-up, 2019 World Team Trials Challenge Tournament champ, 2017 Dave Schultz Memorial International champion. Is there, of all your accolades, Lauren Louise, by the way, on the Defense Soap Newsmaker Hotline, is there one of those championships that means more to you for whatever reason?
Maybe this most recent one, and just because of the way that I competed, just because I competed, the way that I set out to.
So good. I'm sorry.
Dominantly.
You were so dominant. I always go, oh, that's my friend Lauren. Look at her. She's just going. She's just going. And you brought your A game. Coaches had to have been happy with what they saw.
Yes, I believe they were.
Do you break it down immediately after, or do you take a day or two and then go back in and look at your performance?
I give myself a little bit of time. There's notes that I want to record immediately. I do that. But as far as like watching film and things like that, I give myself a little bit of time to process.
Mm-hmm. Well, we have had plenty of time to process that, which you've become one of the best women's wrestlers in the world. And we appreciate that. The 2020 57 kilo senior nationals champ, Lauren Louise, has been our guest. And kid, we love you. You know that. And we hope you come back on the show after your next victory. And we'll plan it well in advance of your competition, but we will always present you as a champ. We love you, kid. Nice job out of you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Appreciate the opportunity to talk with you. Best to everybody in the Springs, okay?
Okay.
Thanks so much. And it's guests like that, and if we can hold her out as the example for other young women, okay, girls, etc., if we can hold her out, I don't know that we could do any better. I really don't. I think the world of her. All right, we're going to take a quick time out. This portion of the show brought to you by Ghazali's Mediterranean on 25th near Drake University. Also by our friends at, I just want to talk for a minute about physical therapy, okay? Melanie Raybeck can help you relieve your pain with positive physical therapy. Where? At Advantage Physical Therapy. Look for them online or also at 641-757-9898. Again, 641-757-9898 at 7564 Hickman Road in Des Moines. It's Advantage Physical Therapy. Stay tuned. More after this.
All guests on the USA Takedown appear on the Defense Soap Newsmaker Hotline. Made in the USA with unparalleled quality, and it's guaranteed. Defense Soap. It's what the pros use.
The Defense Soap Facts. Dateline, Cleveland, Ohio. For 12 years, he competed. For 17 years, he coached. And for 30 years, he's policed the streets of Cleveland. He saw teams and programs decimated by skin-borne disease, a wrestler's worst nightmare. He didn't like the chemical-based products on the market and knew that there had to be a better way, a better defense. He found religion in the ingredients that make up the basis for Defense Soap: tea tree and eucalyptus oil. Defense Soap, all natural, safe to use. It's available around the world now at defensesoap.com.
The wrong financial decisions can undermine the best intentions. Whether concerned for your business or your family's financial future, Trent Weatherman will develop a plan, identifying your goals, and set you on the path to financial security. Trent makes plans for people, no matter your goals. Trent has access to top-rated products and services to help you meet them. In April of 2019, NerdWallet identified Northwestern Mutual as the best life insurance company. Northwestern Mutual is in the top 10 U.S. independent investment broker-dealers in the United States. See the difference for yourself at TrentWeatherman.nm.com.
Communities need leaders. The birthplace of Bob Feller, Van Meter, Iowa, has too. Paul Szynski and Jim Sinclair have always been there for their community and for the thing that drives us, wrestling. In a position to help or need a cause to get behind, your neighbors and friends can use a hand. Leaders always come together to help, to plan, and to work to make their communities a better place to live. So special thanks to Jim Sinclair and Paul Szynski, two examples of men who lead. Follow these two professionals on LinkedIn for investment opportunities and more.
All right, when you have guys sing the praises of our next guest, guys like Barry Davis and Isaac Jordan, Jim Jordan, the whole Jordan clan. And by the way, thumbs up to Jimmy Jordan. When you have guys like that singing the praises of our next guest, I think Tim Johnson loves this guy. And you wonder why, but I don't. I happen to know this guy is cut from incredible cloth, okay? He joins us now as the head coach of UTC, Kyle Rochelle. Kyle, good morning. How are you?
I'm great. How are you guys doing?
I'm looking at your picture, brother, and there's always a smile on your face. I remember you as a competitor, though, and that smile could easily turn upside down. I mean, you were a monster on the mat.
I had some good matches and bad matches, but yeah, I mean, you're a different animal when you step on that mat than your day-to-day. So I didn't have a smile too much on my face against my opponents, but I love the sport, and I love being around it, and love what I do.
So before we get down to the nuts and bolts, I want to talk about your team. How brave were you in asking your wife out for that first date?
Well, she doesn't like me to say it, but she actually asked me out. Yeah, she Facebook messaged me, and we met up at Nationals one year. And long story short, we met up at Nationals one year, and I knew who she was back in the day from when she worked with Big Ten Network and with her dad, and so I was like, absolutely. And then long story short, she moved up to Madison, and we started dating, and now we're married and at Chattanooga.
That's and by the way, if you've never been to Chattanooga, Tennessee, you owe it. Even as a trip, go visit the wrestling program for sure. Visit the community. It is one that embraces the sport. I love that. It's just a great place, a great weekend. It's picturesque, especially at this time of year. The leaves are changing, trees are changing, the colors are awesome. But more than anything, it signifies one thing: wrestling is in the air. Can you feel it, Kyle?
Oh yeah, with a couple of high schools just in the area, with Baylor School and McCauley and Cleveland, the community here just loves wrestling. Our alumni stick around, not only because it's a great place to live, but because of the atmosphere of wrestling dual meets and how people love the sport. So it's definitely a unique town. You can travel three miles outside of town, and you're on top of a mountain and checking everything out, and then you come back downtown and you can do whatever you want. So
great restaurants.
It's unique. Yeah.
All right, we're talking with Kyle Rochelle, and we think about, what is this, your third season, or did we skip a beat? Is this your fourth season?
I'm going into my third.
Okay, this third. Okay. I got to ask you about the Southern Scuffle. It's home there. It was started at University of Chattanooga, Tennessee. Where does that event stand in light of the COVID and the pandemic that's currently raging? What can you tell us?
So we're a little lucky that we've always been after the new year, right on that 1st and 2nd of January. Mm-hmm. And so with the way season's looking, starting in January 1, we're looking into still keeping the Scuffle in some facet. We're not going to have the big tournament that we've had in the past. We're looking more for maybe dual meets, getting teams down here, 8 to 16 teams, and see how many teams we can get down here for it, and just create as many matches as possible, because it's going to be really hard for some teams to get out and get 12, 16 matches this season. So come down, everybody gets about 5 to 6 matches while they're here.
That'd be fun, huh? 5 to 6. What do you think, Zach? Can you go 5 or 6 matches? If I were to send you down there with a brand new USA Takedown singlet, okay, from our friends at Barbarian, you got your gator on, so you could wrestle with your gator on, headgear, your little shoes, and you're out there wrestling. Could you go 5 matches?
5 matches? Maybe 5 minutes.
5 minutes.
Yeah, I could do 5 minutes.
I see where that may take you right out of the running for first place.
1 minute per match.
All right, let's break it down. I know you want to talk a little bit about the makeup of the team, so let's do that. Let's talk a little bit about the makeup of the team. Who are the leaders on your team? Returning seniors, and the big news, of course, recently that the NCAA is granting an additional year of eligibility. I think that's huge and the right thing to do. Your take?
I think it's great. I think that a lot of these guys lost a year. We had 3 qualifiers, all of them coming back this year.
Love it.
And so they get that opportunity. Nothing's guaranteed in life, and that's what we told them all through this quarantine is you can't control some things, but your work ethic is what you can, and your attitude. And so we've been preaching that a lot. Mm-hmm. But when they heard there's an opportunity for them to get that year back, they're excited. It gives them that extra the fire in their belly, saying, "Oh, I got 2 more years left." We were lucky. We had 7 or 8 sophomores that are juniors now that were in our starting lineup. So we have a lot of experience. We have a lot of young guys now. They're back to being sophomores again. And so I'm excited. We had 3 guys ranked in the top 25 in the preseason. So I think those guys are pretty much our leaders. Now there's some other guys that aren't ranked that come in and do everything right, everything that we ask. They're 3.5 or above GPA guys that will run through a wall for us. So
let's do this. Let's do this. And because of the time with the break coming up, I want you to think about this, because I'm noticing a pattern in terms of recruiting. Okay, I'm noticing this pipeline developing out of Orlando, Florida. Okay, I want you to talk about that on the other side of the break. We're going to take a quick time out. Our guest on the Defense Soap Newsmaker Hotline is Kyle Rochelle, the head coach of the University of Tennessee, Chattanooga. We'll be back. There's more. You're listening to Casper and Bogle. Yeah, the legends live here with us. USA Takedown only on 1350 ESPN.
All USA Takedown guests appear on the Defense Soap Newsmaker Hotline. Made in the USA with unparalleled quality, and it's guaranteed Defense Soap. It's what the pros use.
Hash browns are always part of my favorite breakfast, and the place to get Des Moines' best breakfast is Mullet's Restaurant. Hi, this is Danny Bishop. Stop by on your bike along Meredith Trail by the confluence of the Raccoon and Des Moines rivers. Sit on their 2-level patio, peruse the famous breakfast menu, and you'll understand why Mullet's is the best breakfast restaurant in Des Moines. Mullet's, celebrating all things about the hairstyle that's business in the front and party in the back. Just go to the west end of the Southeast 1st Street Bridge to find Des Moines' best breakfast at Mullet's Restaurant.
Something happens when you walk through these doors. It doesn't take long. The lights, the sounds, the winning. Yeah, you're at Wild Rose Casino and Resort. Small enough where we know your name, but big enough to give you the escape from everyday life you deserve. Come on, it's time. Time to win again at Wild Rose Casino and Resort, Jefferson. And find yourself winning even more when you join Club Wild. Wild Rose Casino and Resort, Jefferson. You'd rather be here.
Must be 21 or older. If you or someone you know needs game 1 treatment, call 1-800-BEDS-OFF.
Calderberg's PBS Landscaping knows what grows best in Iowa because they're from Iowa. Locally owned and operated, Calderberg's is a full-service landscaping and lawn care company. Everything you need from lawn care and landscape design to water features, tree planting, irrigation, and snow removal. Matt Calderberg and his staff are great. They take care of my family year-round. They can take care of yours, too. My office and home, they cover it all. They're my friends and should be yours as well. Visit them at calderberglandscaping.com.
Welcome back. Zach Bogle, Scooter McGee, they call me. Scott Casper with you on the show. I have no idea where that came from.
That was actually my nickname. Scooter was my nickname in Little League.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Little Scooter.
Yeah.
Little Scooter. All right, we talk pipelines. University of Tennessee, Chattanooga is developing those in your third year as head coach. How important is the Lake Highland Prep down in Winter Park, Florida? You've got two boys out of there, Logan Andrew and Noah Castillo. Talk to me about that pipeline.
Yeah, I mean, when Logan Andrew came up on our board, we went down there, talked to him, and we just realized that Coach Palazzo is doing a great job. He's developing kids, getting them ready for the Division I level, not just to be on teams, but to be national champions and All-Americans. And so if they're brought up that way and that's their expectation, we want them. And so he's doing a great job, and we're going to continue to go down there as long as he's doing that.
So who takes those trips? You, my catcher, TJ? I don't know who this TJ is, but boy can grow a good beard. So who goes on those Florida trips?
All of us. We've all kind of done it separately. Coach Hatcher, he coached down in Florida for quite some time. So he's the guy that kind of introduced us to all of it. And then I've been down there for years when Brandon was the team to beat. And so I had a good relationship with many Florida coaches as well. So it's a group effort.
Now, do you go to Universal Studios every single time, or is it every other time?
To tell you the truth, I've never been.
I think you're lying.
I've never been.
All right.
I swear.
All right.
What's the scary ride there? The Hotel of Terror or whatever?
That's Disney. I'm an expert, so yeah. I've been plenty of times. Maybe we can go together. But the Hulk is the one you want to do.
That's the scary one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I'm an amusement park freak. I love to ride roller coasters and whatnot, but there is a great one in Ohio. I don't know how far it is.
Cedar Point.
How far that is from Chattanooga, but tell you what, maybe we could do a road trip. We'll plan a week where
that'd
we
be
visit.
good content.
It'd be great content.
You guys need to try out Kings Island as well. That's right outside of Cincinnati.
Okay, we could try that out. I want to talk about fantasy wrestling a little bit. I try to ask like every coach that we have on here, because I try to give out these sleeper picks per se. Who's somebody on your roster that gives out an extreme amount of bonus points that might go under the radar for people?
Fabian Gutierrez or Matthew Waddell. They're both probably ranked just around 20, but Matthew Waddell, he can throw you from anywhere. He can headlock you. He can lat drop you. He gets us a lot of bonus points.
84-pounder, right?
Say what?
Waddell's the 84-pounder?
Well, Matthew Waddell's our 184-pounder.
Okay.
He got it ranked all the way up to about 13 last year, beating some really good guys, and again, throwing them to their back, headlocking them, and the dude's a Greco guy, so watch out for him. And then Fabian Gutierrez, he's a strong 125-pounder that he's just dangerous, right? If somebody's on his leg, you can find yourself on your back, or on top, he throws those boots in. And he had a really good match with Spencer Lee, rode him out in one of the periods.
Yeah, I remember that match. So you can promise me that neither one of them will be sitting out any duel they're going to wrestle every single time the entire year.
I can't. I can guarantee you that every match that they're in, they're going to fight like dogs, but I can't guarantee their health.
I'll take it. I'll take that. That's fine.
Fabian is out of Commerce City, Colorado, Adams City High School. I'm familiar with that school. And at 25, is it a challenge to keep him at 25? I mean, let's face it, we all grow, right?
Yeah. Last year he put on a little weight, and we were struggling there for a little bit, but we figured it out. And this year he's ready to go. He's only sitting about eight over right now, and he's full feed, so he's great. He doesn't have to worry about 125.
Oh, I don't know about you, but I put on 125 after dinner last night at 8:01. We had dinner, and I'll tell you what, I think
I coming into college, I was supposed to be a 25-pounder. I wrestled 112 at senior nationals, and I grew about 6 inches that freshman year. And Barry Davis said, "Yeah, I knew you were never going to be a 25-pounder. I just didn't know that."
Barry is perhaps more in tune with kind of like the Brands brothers, I think, and Chris Bono as well. In tune with guys that are shorter in stature and tending toward smaller weights. And I just think the world of Barry and his ability, but he did an outstanding job of bringing up guys like you when at Wisconsin. I thought he had some great touches, Morningstar, you, et cetera. I mean, there's some great guys, but now we're seeing... Go ahead.
Coach Davis is... awesome. He's unique, but the one thing that I can never take away from him is he loved his guys. He cared about them, and it was more important off the mat than on it. And that's one thing I've tried to take away from Coach Davis. Many things, but the big one is just caring about the guys, and letting them know that wrestling is important, but it's not all about wrestling. There's life outside of it. And so I love Coach Davis. He was just down here a couple weeks ago, and it's great to see his face.
I love that. All right. We've got about a minute left. You got to give me a takeaway. What's your takeaway? What's the one thing you want people to know about UTC?
We're fighters. Our slogan's a fight for every point, but that's everywhere. That's in the classroom. We're fighting from B's to A's, and on the wrestling mat, we want to be gladiators. Every single point they're fighting for, and we don't want people to wrestle. They don't want to wrestle us again. That's us. That's Chattanooga wrestling in a nutshell.
Tell TJ that we will have him on at some point in the future. Your job, sir, will be to identify the one guy on your team who would be a great guest on our show in the coming months, okay?
You got it.
Let me know who that is. TJ Rochelle will be a great guest as well. Perhaps he will be as good as you are. We'll see. Kyle, always good to talk to you, man. Best to the wife and best to the team down there at Chattanooga.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Always good to talk to you, man. Appreciate that. All right. Hey, want to thank our sponsors for sure. Couldn't do it without them, including Defense Soap, man. Defense Soap, you want to talk about keeping you happy, healthy, and on the mat. Defense Soap's got it going on. Guy Seiko and his family have done an outstanding job of being prepared for what we are now all experiencing, the pandemic that is 2020. How about that? Also by Northwestern Mutual and our friends at Wild Rose Casinos and Resorts. You've been listening to USA Takedown on 1350 ESPN and at 102.1 FM, usatakedown.com.
KRNT Des Moines. Moines Radio Group station and home of ESPN Radio. This is 1350 ESPN. Simulcasting on 102.1 FM. Des Moines sports leader.
All right, welcome back to the show. Top of the hour is always a short break for us, and we hope you are enjoying the show. From the Wild Rose Casino Studios, this is USA Takedown. Casper and Bogle along with you, saying good morning to each and every one of you. My sister tuning in from just south of Indianola this morning. Good morning to my sister, Michelle. She's married off all of her kids now, okay? And she just a tremendous mom, but good morning to my very special, much older sister, Michelle. I think it's actually a year, but we tease her. All right, first hour, we had great guest lineup. First hour, second hour is going to be no different. But in the first hour, we enjoyed a conversation with Joe Williamson, the senior nationals champ at 57 kilos, Lauren Louise, and Kyle Rochelle. Who's coming up in hour number 2?
Hour number 2, Scott, another great hour here at USA Takedown. We have ACC reporter Matt Geeks, podcast host Jake Hughley, and Allie Reagan.
Yeah, Matt Geeks, by the way, if you haven't followed Matt Geeks, I invite you to do so. They've got some good stuff, and it's on the new platform out there, right? It's on
but I believe they're on Rockfin as well. Yeah,
Rockfin. Okay, so do check that out online. They've got some great video interviews and some fun takes. I love that. And Joe Williamson was correct in saying that there's more wrestling content out there today than ever before. When we started this adventure we call radio years ago, it was intended to be a promotional vehicle for the sport, much like many of the programming on ESPN surrounds football, baseball, whatever. You know, we are that voice on radio for the sport of wrestling. Well, some of those that benefit are the athletes. Allie Reagan, who's number 1 at 59 kilo, joins us now. Allie has been there for us for many years. Sunkiss Kids Wrestling Club. She joins us now. Allie, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I'm good.
There
Thanks
she
for
is.
having me on.
Yeah, you know, it's always nice when you have not just a great athlete but a great person, and you. I think I identify that in you as being a good person. As a competitor is one thing, but also being a good student of the sport enough so where you become a good teacher. Do you enjoy passing on your knowledge to younger athletes?
I do. I feel like over the years I've done so many camps and clinics and stuff, and it's really fun to see, like, especially little girls pick up wrestling. So it's pretty rare and it's pretty new to see so many little girls show up at clinics and stuff. So I think that's just awesome that women's wrestling in general is just growing.
USATakedown.com, our website. By the way, if you miss any part of this show, it's within hours generally, sometimes a day, but the entirety of the show is posted on our website at USATakedown.com. Go back and listen to past interviews. Here in a day or so, you'll listen to my interview with then candidate, now President Donald Trump, expressing his love for our sport. I think that's rather unique in this day and age. A lot of presidents did wrestle. He was one of them. In his words, he was no Dan Gables, but I had no idea there was an S on the end of Gable's name. But it was an interesting interview. You'll be able to hear that along with interviews like we're doing just now with Allie Reagan. Allie, talk to us about the weight, 59 kilos, the competitiveness at your weight and that around you, because there's some movement up and down. Athletes, maybe experiencing some comfort or discomfort at their current weight, and they make a move. What are your thoughts on your weight and the competition that is out there?
I've been 59 kilos for the past couple of years now, but when the new Olympic weights came out, 59 kilos was not one of them. So this past year, and gearing up for 2020 and 2021, I've made the transition down to 57 kilos. And for me, it worked really well because 59, I didn't really have to cut much weight or anything. So 57 just made me a little bit more disciplined. And in that area, just getting more cardio and living the right lifestyle, too. So I think that as far as going down for me for 57 for the Olympic year, it kind of worked out really well.
How disappointed were you that there was not an Olympic weight? I would like to think that, I think the massive weights okay, available to both men and women. I think that's a great idea, but then it boils down to, and the competition really does become internal. And when I say internal, I'm talking about corporately, or as we look at America and American wrestling. I like to think that it only makes the competitors that much sharper. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, in a realistic world, I would love if there were 8 weights in the Olympics for every style, but it just doesn't work like that. So it definitely makes everything a little bit more competitive at those Olympic weights. So I like it.
Our guest on the program, Allie Reagan. Allie, we were fortunate enough to have Lauren Louise on the program just in hour number 1, and she mentioned how close the women are on the team, and there is a benefit to that as I see it. What is your take on being close to each other on Team USA?
It's good. Coach Steiner really implements, like when we're at national team camps or overseas, that we are a team, and that like the whole iron sharpens iron thing. So yeah, once we get down to it in practices and competitions, we are scrapping and really going at it. But off the mat, there's no need for us to like be catty with one or another or just like hate each other just because we're competing. I think he really implements us, like whoever is the number one, each number 2, 3, 4, 5 down the line should be wanting that number 1 spot and to make that number 1 the best person that USA has. So definitely keeps the number 1 on their toes, and number 2, 3, all of them after are vying for that spot. But there's no need for everyone to not get along after, once it's all said and done. So
once I see the cornrows, okay, you know what? I think that would make me upset. I would get a little bit angry if I had to put my hair in cornrows. First of all, the fans wouldn't like it, but I get very. Here's the deal: it looks like it pulling on your scalp a lot when you cornrow the hair or really tighten it up. But that to me, when you cinch everything up, it's time to go to war. The battles that we're seeing right now amongst our female athletes, seniors, and then now that it's been announced about the World Championships, I just think that this is the dawning. If 63 teams that are offering women's wrestling, that's one thing, but it is the dawning of the next generation of our sport. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, definitely once my hair is braided, I feel like it's competition time, because otherwise hair would be flying between us girls. So definitely overseas, you're just, every foreigner is definitely wanting to pull on your hair and stuff like that. That they kind of use that as like a setup to shots sometimes, which is crazy. But yeah, definitely the competition's there. And once it's ready, time for battle and stuff, you got to get ready. So
let's talk about getting ready for your matches. Do you like to listen to music before you go out there?
I do, yeah.
Now, do you like pump up music, or do you like something more like calm and something that kind of calms the emotions or all the nerves and everything like that?
I prefer pump up music just to get my blood flowing, but I know a lot of people do like the calming music, but not me. I got to get a little something going.
Okay.
What is your pump? What's your music of choice?
Right now it's like EDM, like dance electronic music type thing. It's just got a good beat and it's loud and that kind of stuff. So
do lyrics
right now
matter to you at all?
Lyrics don't matter. As long as it has a good beat, then I'm good to go.
Okay. Well, you guys are a bundle of energy anyway. I mean, you're literally bouncing on the mat. I just think that that's the way I get out of bed every morning. Not, but wouldn't it be great if you did?
Yeah, exactly.
It's kind of like when you say to the dog, you want to go outside? Yeah. I really need to go. Thanks for recognizing that. But they are a bundle of energy. I love that about my dogs. Do you have dogs? Do you have pets?
I do. I have a cat. His name is Sushi.
Of course. Why Sushi?
Sushi. I don't know. It just kind of came to me when I first got my cat. I went to go get like a collar for him, and who I got him from, he already had a bus. His name was like Buster. I was like, that's not going to work. And then one of the collars at the pet store had sushi rolls all over it. I was like, wow, it really spoke to me.
I don't know. Is Zach, you like the sushi?
If you're referring to like the food sushi,
fat, do like a fat sushi roll. So
I like a good sushi roll. I do.
Yeah.
California roll, that's how everybody starts. I'll just have the California roll. Then they get into the tuna, the eel, the shark.
Yeah.
But there's so much good sushi. Sakari Sushi, our home for sushi here in Des Moines on Ingersoll. That's a cheap plug for a complimentary lunch if they're still listening. I hope they're listening. I really do. I love their sushi. All right, our guest is one of those we look to for solid performance and putting points up for Team USA. It's Allie Reagan. So, Allie, again, the weight you'll be going to at Worlds is what?
For Worlds this year, I don't know if it's for sure happening, but if it does, I'll probably go 57.
57.
I haven't really talked to my coaches about it, 57, 59, but either one.
In terms of coaches, who are you closest to? Who is responsible for your weight classes?
Mark Perry, I've worked with since I've been at HWC, and I obviously followed him to Sunkist Kids in Arizona State. And then I also work really close with Lee Pritz, one of the ASU coaches. He's awesome.
I love Lee Pritz. I'm sorry.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
I cannot lie. That guy, he is, talk about a bundle of energy and a great family.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
Woo. And his pool is open to the public. It's not. It's don't tell me I said that. All right, following Mark, you lead us into that train of thought. Following Mark out there, at least making your home now with Sunkist Kids. What was that decision like, and was it difficult?
Yeah, of course it was difficult. I mean, I'm from Illinois in the Midwest here, so being in Iowa, I was really close to my family. I could just hop in the car and just drive there. And so I'd never been to Arizona actually before I had all my stuff and moved. And obviously when I moved, it was during quarantine, so I couldn't even go visit to see the apartment that I was moving into and stuff like that in the area. So I just kind of went on a limb and just found an apartment online and moved my whole life down there. And yeah, I mean, I think people have done crazier things for their dreams, but at this point, why wouldn't I follow a coach that I'm so comfortable and close with, and he wants the best for me, and that relationship's so great. So I really, it was kind of a no-brainer for me to go down to Arizona with Perry.
And being with Perry, being around Zeke Jones, though, I mean, let's face it.
He's great, yeah.
Isn't he? I mean, and then you got Art Martori. I mean, this guy believes in the sport, right? In a big way.
Yep.
Yeah. And his daughter, who is Kim is largely in part, I think largely in charge now, not only Sunkist Kids, but of the Martori Farms. If folks don't understand, most people don't understand where the name Sunkist Kids comes from. Art Martori and his family are one of the single largest growers of Sunkist citrus in the world. Okay? Mm-hmm. When you think of a citrus tree, you think of citrus needing water. Well, Art has to negotiate out water rights in order to be able to feed his crops the nourishment of the water that they need. He negotiates it out in amazing terms. I mean, it's very expensive to take care of that. So he takes all that profit from all that citrus and funnels it into wrestling. I'm not exactly sure where it all comes from, but boy, he is a generous man, and you are one of the beneficiaries of that.
Yeah, they take really good care of us athletes, so I'm very thankful for the Martori family.
All right, so knowing what you know, given where we are in the date, in terms of the year, and then throwing in the pandemic, what's next for you?
As far as
competition travel?
Definitely Senior Worlds and the trials leading up to that. So hopefully everything goes as planned and we can have that and go overseas and stuff. So hopefully trials and Senior Worlds.
Who's pushing you? In other words, who will you always be prepared for as far as in terms of challenge within Team USA? I'm not trying to stir the pot here or anything like that, but who is that or who are they?
I mean, obviously, Helen Maroulis, the Olympic gold medalist, is number one at my weight, sitting out in the finals for Olympic trials. So obviously, you have a great wrestler to chase and to work towards, and so it gives you something really to train for and get better for. So, I mean, if I'm not 100% the best me coming onto the mat, she's going to eat me alive. So it's really something to keep you on your toes.
Her performance in Rio was, to say the least, outstanding. And for NBC to gloss right past the big news that she was our very first Olympic gold medalist, for our sport, I think was a terrible disservice to sports in general, let alone to women's wrestling and to wrestling in general. But Helen is one of those people that literally walks the way I would like to walk every single day. Somebody to look up to. I just think the world of her. What would be something that somebody would be surprised to learn about you? For example, Lauren Louise is also a great hand on a horse and with a 6-shooter. What would our listeners be surprised to learn about you?
I'm not really sure. I would say my hobby would probably be hiking. I love just any outdoors thing. So when I moved to Arizona, it was like perfect for me. There's always something to do outside. So I'm definitely a very nature person, and I love to hike. So
what's the highest peak you've scaled?
I've done a couple 14ers when I used to live in Colorado. So like 14,000. That's it took a long time to get up there.
Were you
You're very high in elevation, but it's a great hike.
14,000 for those of you who have flown is amazingly high. 16's even higher, of course. But when you get to that elevation, you start developing something called headaches because you become dehydrated that much more quickly. And I have been the recipient of those headaches because you don't plan for it. Well, once you get acclimated, it's another story, right? I mean, when they say it's time to run the cog, how many times did you run the cog trail?
Oh, gosh, when I lived in Colorado for those 3 years, I can't even count. I went through a phase where I did it like every Saturday.
Oh, my.
I would go and do it. But, yeah, I haven't done it in a while because I haven't lived out there for a long time now. But I've definitely done it a time or two in my day.
A stairway to heaven, I dare say a stairway to hell.
I agree.
It never gets easier either. The more you do it, you would think it would get easier, but it never gets easier.
It becomes more uneven.
Yeah.
How far what's the distance on that thing?
It's just a mile, but it's a mile straight up.
Yeah.
So.
That's amazing. And by the time you get close to the top, if it's your first run and you're exhausted, you're on hands and knees. It's
how many breaks are you allowed to take?
I don't think you're allowed to take any break.
Oh, okay.
I mean, they say not to take breaks, just to keep going. But I mean, if you are just doing it to get up to the top and not beat your time, you can take as many breaks as you want.
Now that would be.
I made my mom do it with me one time. I was like, take as many breaks as you want. You just got to get up there.
I think some good content would be making Scott do it a couple times.
No, you
at least
don't want to hold
time.
up traffic, do you? No. All right, kid, we are up against the clock. Purpose of having you on is to salute all that you've accomplished for sure, but also to recognize the fact that you're putting in the work. Even at 5'4", you're out there acting like a giant killer, and I think you got it in you to get the job done. I truly do. The challenge, of course, will be those that are in front of you. I think we are lucky at this day and age of women's wrestling in the United States and, dare I say, in the world, to have competitors just like you who are able to bring it day in, day out, to be well coached and be able to respond to that coaching. Good job out of you, Allie. You're always welcome on our program.
Thanks for having me on. Talk to you guys later.
There we go. Allie Reagan, number one at her weight for sure, but if she's going to drop to 57, what we're looking at there is a meeting of the minds and two incredible athletes. And Helen Maroulis. Helen is for real, and you got to look at age, though. Helen is everybody's getting older. I get that. Does that necessarily mean we're getting better? Well, proof will be in the pudding. Yeah. I'll tell you what, we'll take a quick time out. You're listening to America's wrestling radio talk show. It is USA Takedown right here on 1350 ESPN. Also online at usatakedown.com. You can go there and listen to all of the past episodes, as so many of you do. Okay, and here's the deal. Brand new sponsor. I have yet to record these commercials, so we are reading them live. John Royer, our buddy over at Mullets, has come up with a brand new company. It's called Hassle-Free Stores. If you've got a brand or a logo and you want people to see it, go to hasslefreestores.com. They'll build you a custom online retail store with a great range of products for your fans and customers to choose from at no charge to you. No hassle, no inventory, no outlay of cash, no hassle. Again, visit them online, hasslefreestores.com. More on the other side. You're listening to USA Takedown with Casper and Bogle. Stay tuned.
Think you've heard everything? Stick around. You ain't heard nothing yet. More USA Takedown after this.
The Defense Soap Facts. Dateline, Cleveland, Ohio. For 12 years, he competed. For 17 years, he coached. And for 30 years, he's policed the streets of Cleveland. He saw teams and programs decimated by skin-borne disease, a wrestler's worst nightmare. He didn't like the chemical-based products on the market and knew that there had to be a better way. A better defense. He found religion in the ingredients that make up the basis for Defense Soap. Tea tree and eucalyptus oil. Defense Soap. All natural, safe to use. It's available around the world now at defensesoap.com.
The wrong financial decisions can undermine the best intentions. Whether concerned for your business or your family's financial future, Trent Weatherman will develop a plan, identifying your goals, and set you on the path to financial security. Trent makes plans for people, no matter your goals. Trent has access to top-rated products and services to help you meet them. In April of 2019, NerdWallet identified Northwestern Mutual as the best life insurance company. Northwestern Mutual is in the top 10 U.S. independent investment broker-dealers in the United States. See the difference for yourself at TrentWeatherman.nm.com.
Calderberg's PBS Landscaping knows what grows best in Iowa because they're from Iowa. Locally owned and operated, Calderberg's is a full-service landscaping and lawn care company. Everything you need from lawn care and landscape design to water features, tree planting, irrigation, and snow removal. Matt Calderberg and his staff are great. They take care of my family year-round. They can take care of yours, too. My office and home, they cover it all. They're my friends and should be yours as well. Visit them at calderberglandscaping.com.
Welcome back to the show, coast to coast, border to border, and all those ships at sea. And I tell you what we do is we talk about the sport of wrestling and mixed martial arts. Next week marks the return of one Chael Sonnen. We'll be doing this every couple weeks with Chael. It'll be the MMA update brought to you by our friends at ESPN. And I tell you what, that is the mouth that roared. He is the original bad guy. First of all, we got a great relationship, but one of the things we were talking about the other day, he and I was talking about the preponderance of wrestling podcasts. Well, I was looking at a list of shows that are now just archived and no longer actively broadcasting. That's cool. A lot of great shows gone by the wayside. People don't understand how difficult it is to do these shows on a regular basis, us for 25 years or more. But there's a show that stands out to me, and I wanted to get this guy on the show because he is focused on the ACC. Okay, Matt Geeks is the show I'm talking about, and when you think of the ACC, you think of a growing conference. Well, he is just that, covering a growing conference. Matt Geeks host Jacob Hughley. Jacob, how are you?
I'm doing good. How about you?
Yeah, I'm good. You're very pointed in saying we are in no way directly affiliated with the Atlantic Coast Conference. Why the need for that disclaimer?
Yeah, that started off when I started the whole idea. I originally called it the ACC Wrestling Report, and then very quickly realized that there might be some issues there. And so I, just to be safe, wanted to make sure that I called it something that wasn't directly ACC affiliated, and just wanted to make sure that, everything that I say is not reflected by the ACC specifically.
You know, go ahead.
Yeah, for my content, I do stalemates as well. That, for my sake, I think, the wrestling world could use another legal battle. So maybe you should use that name.
Yeah, I'm gonna leave that to the people that make money at the sport.
All right.
Who are those people?
Not me.
No, well, we've been struggling to figure that out all these many years. Wrestling, as you know it, has been changing in front of our very eyes, most notably because of the COVID. What are your thoughts on wrestling, specifically in the ACC? Are conferences doing a good job of prepping for competition, prepping for practice, prepping for travel? All that goes into a successful season. Matt Hughley, your thoughts? Excuse me,
Yeah,
Jacob Hughley, your thoughts? Matt.
Yeah,
Okay. I'll just throw it all together there.
You're good. I think they're doing a great job. I've been fortunate enough since starting this to build relationships with each of the coaches in the ACC. And so I've been able to actually talk to them directly and, hear about what all is going on over there and how they're prepping. And I've even, got to see a couple practices and just all the precautions that they're taking. I know that wrestlers are kind of in pods, right? So they'll come into practice at different times, and they even wear those masks during the practice. So I don't know exactly what they're called. I think they're gaiters.
Yeah, gaiter.
The thing that goes around your neck, I mean, it's wild. One of the coaches over at Virginia talked about, wearing that during practice is crazy, like basically suffocating yourself while you're practicing. But, they're going to such extreme lengths to make sure that all the protocols and everything are followed. And I know that they're planning on, I know there's not an official announcement, but everybody's kind of planning on January start date.
Right.
And they're talking about, getting together and having the conference slate and then, setting themselves up the best for conference and championship at the end of the year. So I think everything's going great. Everything that I've heard is going smoothly and on track.
Jacob Hughley, our guest. You follow him on Twitter at the Matt Geek. Love that. I'm surprised that wasn't Takedown, Jacob.
Yeah, me too.
Are you the host of the HMA Fantasy Wrestling podcast as well?
Yeah. So I actually started in wrestling media about a year ago and kind of got in with when WrestleStat started getting big with fantasy wrestling and got hooked up with the guys over at HMA. And I'm still part of HMA, but I kind of broke off on the side to do my ACC thing, and I've been really enjoying it. But yeah, I still host that. I have actually Seth Gross and Jack Mueller, my co-hosts on that.
Love Seth Gross. Got interesting takes, but also he's an exceedingly talented mat man. I love that guy. We're talking with Jacob Hughley, an outstanding host, one that I think you would be very interested to watch his product. You can find it on Rockfin. Why Rockfin?
The first and the most easy answer to that is that I didn't want to make a website. So I didn't want to actually go into all the crazy stuff to make a website, but also HMA got on Rockfin right before I started my ACC, my Matt Geeks channel. And I really loved the Rockfin channel. I mean, everything about it is awesome. I really think it's the future of wrestling. It's the way that media is kind of going. And I've enjoyed using it ever since I started with HMA. And so when I started my Matt Geeks channel, I just kind of moved it over to Rockfin and kept it going.
Rockfin has become, it's kind of the antithesis, if you will, to Flow. Is Rockfin going in the right direction, your estimation?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, it's kind of weird because that's definitely like the storyline, especially, with the Willie trials and all that. But yeah, they're kind of two different things, I mean, Flow Wrestling is a media outlet that puts out stories and live events. And then Rockfin is, basically a better version of YouTube for content creators. And so it's a completely different thing. So it's funny that they get associated so much. They definitely are competitors, but it's just a very interesting dynamic. I think that Rockfin's growing at such a great rate, and I think that it's definitely heading in the right direction. So many good content creators on there, and I mean, you're even seeing the RTCs, the NLWC just had their event on there, and I know that there's one in the works for ACC, so we'll see about that down the line, but
I love it.
Yeah, I think it's going in the right direction.
And by the way, the biggest difference for me, Rockfin is a curator, okay? So if you look at what a good museum does, a museum curates, okay, a collection, and that's what Rockfin is doing, curating all the people together, or at least attempting to bring all those together and make a living off of it. But what you do, you're a teacher first, right?
Yeah.
And you teach what?
Math, freshman math.
Math. Were you good at the math, Zach?
I was decent at math. Everything else I sucked at. I hated science.
Well, science and math kind of go hand in hand, brother. I don't know if you know that.
Yeah, I know. I'm a lot better at beef though. Let's get back to Twitter beef here, all right?
All right.
This morning I was scrolling on my timeline and I saw Tony Ramos got into it with North Carolina State.
Ruh-roh.
Is that the biggest rivalry in the ACC, North Carolina and North Carolina State?
I don't know. I mean, if you'd asked me a couple of years ago, I would have said maybe Virginia Tech, North Carolina State. But UNC's gotten a lot better in these last couple of years, and that rivalry's really been brewing, especially with, I think that the duel last year that everybody saw that was, the packed house. I was actually fortunate enough to be there. That really was like a catalyst for the rivalry. And so I'm actually interviewing Jacob Camacho later today, and that was one of my questions I was going to ask him is who they think their best rivalry is.
You know Tony Ramos's book for the show, right?
Let's do it.
All right. I just want to make sure that you know this. Tony is no stranger to being the center of the pot that is well stirred. But I really like the fire that he brings. And I don't know if Coleman is attempting to rein him in or urging him on, as it were. But, yeah, there is no love lost between Raleigh and Chapel Hill. Nothing can say competition within or outside the conference in that neck of the woods than the rivalry between those two programs, and it's only getting worse or better, at least from a fan perspective.
Yeah, as a fan perspective, let's make sure we say it's better. I think it's good for the sport. We love to watch it, and nobody it can't be too cushy and lovey all the time, especially in our sport.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, we all got to get along, though, right? No, we don't.
But yeah, no, I mean, I'm covering all 6 ACC teams, so I try to stay neutral and not pick a side with anything. But I'm definitely enjoying watching that go back and forth, and I think it's, like you said, it's good for the sport. I mean, I don't think that it's good to have everybody, necessarily be the bad guy and be out there and be, crazy. But I think a little bit building the rivalry up is definitely a good thing, and I think their kind of little back and forth tiff is going to even just bring more storylines to the duel coming up this year.
By the way, you can catch Jacob Hughley's product on Rockfin. Easy enough to set up a free account. We encourage you to do that. And if you do choose to contribute, I'm sure he would appreciate it. Most of them do. We don't charge for our content. We're a different model. We've figured out what works thanks to our great sponsors over the many years. It absolutely works. But look for them at Rockfin, ROKFIN, and find out what Jacob and who Jacob's been talking to. I saw an interview with a young man. I can't remember who it was, but it broke last week. Who was that?
So it was either Zach Sherman or Mickey Philippi. What I've been doing right now is I've been actually doing my champ chats. And so I've been going through and sitting down and interviewing each returning ACC champ. Right now, talk to Mickey Philippi, Zach Sherman, JILO, and then, like I said, Jacob Camacho is coming later today.
How do you figure out who it is you want to talk to? How do you boil it down?
Honestly, it's just kind of my own mind, whatever I see that I want to do. I mean, when I originally started this, I started it because I felt like there was kind of a soft spot in coverage. I felt like the ACC didn't get as much coverage, and so that's the whole reason for it.
And we're talking about schools like Duke, Virginia, NC State, Carolina, Pittsburgh, Virginia Tech. I mean, that's a lot of power right there just in those particular schools, but you go outside of those bounds a little bit too, right?
Yeah, a little bit. I've been covering some senior level stuff too, and I just kind of do whoever has connections back to the ACC.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, it's just I truly feel that the ACC is the second best conference in college wrestling. I mean, for the longest time, it's always going to be the Big Ten at the top, right? And maybe one day that'll change, but until then, they're going to be at the top. And I feel like the Big 12 has kind of been the number 2 guy, but I really do feel like while there's only 6 teams in the ACC, they've really been putting out a consistent product and getting a lot better. And I mean, just the amount of qualifiers and All-Americans, national champs that are coming out of the ACC nowadays, it's really growing, and I think it's something that people need to kind of pay attention to.
Now, we talk about real wrestling or fantasy wrestling?
Real wrestling.
I'm just kidding you. By the way, if you go on Rockfin and look for Matt Geeks, okay, you'll see what I'm talking about. ACC fantasy wrestling, freestyle Greco. You got it broke down. You got the ACC rankings. Who in the ACC is number one? Who's the big dog out there right now?
So right now, the way that I do my rankings is I think that rankings should be unbiased. So I go back in and I look at matchups and results and kind of rank them that way. And then the team score gets ranked according to their average rank, right? And so right now, NC State is the number one preseason ranked team. But, it's a close race. UNC, Pitt, Virginia Tech. I mean, Duke's going to be really good this year. People don't realize they kind of took a punt year last year. They're coming back really good. And Virginia's looking good. I mean, everybody, it's going to be a wild race. But right now, NC State's the team to beat as a returning champ.
Have you talked with any other ACC coaches or any ACC coaches at all about guys that will be sitting out this upcoming year?
It's difficult. So I actually did a lineup preview for each team. So I went through and I previewed every single team. It's an article on my Rockman channel. And also everything's free. It's completely free, but I did that. And then I also did follow-up episodes on my podcast with them. So I would sit down with the head coach of each of those schools and kind of chat through their lineup. So in those, you can actually hear from the head coach, their opinions on the lineup and what's going to happen. And the thing that's crazy is right now, we just had this eligibility relief hit, right? And so when I talked to everybody, it was before that. And so they were thinking, more kind of err on the side of red shirt with this crazy year coming up. But now that this year's not going to count, I got to assume that it's kind of no holds bar. Whoever's winning the wrestle-off's getting in the lineup now.
Recently, Dr. Fauci said that we may have to skip Thanksgiving. Wrestling fans out there are going, so what else is new? Jim Jordan, the congressman from Ohio's 4th District, says, you know what, Dr. Fauci, you can skip it to the rest of the country. Have a great Thanksgiving. Your thoughts on taking Thanksgiving off? You're a teacher.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I still have my Thanksgiving, so I have my week off. Fortunately, I'm no longer competing, so I don't have to. I can eat as much as I want, but we'll see what else is going on.
I think they should give wrestlers a 5-pound allowance that week.
For sure.
5 pet or 5 pounds?
Pounds.
Oh, okay, that'd be different. Yeah. All right. Jacob Hughley is our guest. Matt Geeks is his program, and you can find him on Rockfin. There is some apparel that you guys have on there, Matt Geeks T-shirts, etc. Who does your designs?
Yeah, that's all from Cliff Fretwell over at Compound Sportswear.
Love me some Cliff.
Yeah, Cliff's the man. I grew up in Georgia, so I grew up not too far from Compound, and he's been really supportive in everything I've been doing. And the store is actually open until Sunday, so it will close Sunday. But T-shirts are only $18, and all the money just goes. It's going to go right back into the channel and helping kind of expand the ACC coverage. Right now, I'm just doing this as a hobby for free. So any money I could put back into it is always better.
Our guest, Jacob Hughley. Jacob, what do you want people to know most about the ACC, in particular, the programs that you're covering? Because, for example, we've got Steve Garland coming up. I can't say enough good things about his staff. What would you like to get across about the ACC?
Well, you got Garland coming up today?
Not today. No, I think it's next week.
Okay. Man, you might want to block Garland because he's a fun interview.
Yeah, he is.
He's a great guy. But yeah, I mean, as far as the ACC in general, like I said, I feel like the ACC is the second best conference, overall in college wrestling right now. So I feel like, especially being in Iowa, obviously, a lot of your listeners are going to be Big Ten fans in general, and they should be. I'm a big Hawkeye fan growing up, so I would just say make sure that you're checking out these ACC duels and these matchups because, in years past, 10 years ago, they might not have been as exciting, but nowadays, I mean, they really are some of the best teams in the country. And, you got duels where you'll have guys that could end up in the national finals together, or, multiple All-Americans. I mean, there's just so much talent over there. And so I would make sure that you're you're catching all those matches and just kind of staying in tune with the ACC in general. Because I mean, heck, with this eligibility thing coming out, we could end up having a 5-time champ out of the ACC with Mackay if that pans out.
Wouldn't that be something? I mean, we always have to look for the silver lining. I truly believe that. In everything we do, in every walk of life, we look for the silver lining. We found one in you, my friend. Great job today on the program. Matt Geeks, your show. We appreciate your efforts on behalf of our sport. Well done.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me on.
All right. And by the way, free T-shirts, okay? They should always be free T-shirts for the hosts of USA Takedown. Mostly Zach.
We'll talk, Jacob.
Anyway, Jacob, thank you so much, buddy. Jacob Hughley, our guest on the big program, USA Takedown, coming to you live from the Wild Rose Casino Studios here at the home of wrestling at 1350 ESPN. More on the other side with the True Americans, Casper and Bogle. Stay tuned. More after this.
Is brought to you by Barbarian Apparel and Caldenberg's PBS Landscaping. Stay tuned. More USA Takedown after this short timeout.
Hi, it's Danny Bishop. Today's economy presents certain challenges, and along with those come opportunities. The potential rewards are for those who are adept at identifying long-term trends. Don Boyd and his team of financial advisors at 5 Talents Financial Management Group can help you navigate today's economy. Whether you're facing retirement or just looking to better understand certain investment ideas, they can help you. 5 Talents Financial Management Group's first priority is your overall financial success. And that's why they learn about your individual situation, identify your dreams and goals, and get a picture of your tolerance for risk. Long-term relationships that encourage open and honest communication are the cornerstone of their foundation of success. FTFMG.com or call 223-7487, 223-7487, 5 Talents Financial Management Group. Hash browns are always part of my favorite breakfast, and the place to get Des Moines' best breakfast is Mullet's Restaurant. Hi, this is Danny Bishop. Stop by on your bike along Meredith Trail by the confluence of the Raccoon and Des Moines rivers. Sit on their 2-level patio, peruse the famous breakfast menu, and you'll understand why Mullet's is the best breakfast restaurant in Des Moines. Mullet's, celebrating all things about the hairstyle that's business in the front and party in the back. Just go to the west end of the Southeast 1st Street Bridge to find Des Moines' best breakfast at Mullet's Restaurant.
Sports fans, Wild Rose Casino and Resort Emmitsburg has made a home for you. From our DraftKings Sportsbook to Coach's Corner Sports Bar and Grill, every game day is a great day. And now available at Wild Rose, off-track betting. Now you can wager on horse racing from all across the country. Visit wildroseresorts.com for hours and info. Wild Rose Casino and Resort Emmitsburg. You'd rather be here.
Must be 21 or older. If you or someone you know needs gambling treatment, call 1-800-BEDS-OFF.
Welcome back to the show, the True Americans, live it on the air. It is Friday, the 16th of October. High today expected around 72, 73 degrees here in the central part of the country, Iowa in particular, wrestling country. Yeah, we love to talk about the sport of wrestling. Next week marks the return of one Chael Sonnen. He'll give us his hot takes on MMA, and he may, Danny Bishop, I'm warning you now, good sir, he may work outside of his time limit.
How is that possible?
I will tell you because it's hard to get him to stop talking.
Alrighty.
But he's looking forward to his return, and he always loves to interact with wrestling in such a way because so many wrestlers go on to careers in mixed martial arts. Makes sense, right? Okay, let's say you're a brand. I don't care if you're a basketball player, you got a restaurant, maybe you're a football player, maybe you're a college wrestling coach, okay? Let's say you got a brand and you want people to see it. Well, piece of cake. Check out our friends at hasslefreestores.com. This is John Royer's business. You know John Royer from his successful restaurant called Mullet's. Well, they'll build you a custom online retail store with a wide range of products for your fans and customers to choose from, all at no charge. No hassle to you. No inventory, no cash outlay, no guessing about colors. Basically, again, no hassle. So visit them on the web at hasslefreestores.com. They cover things like employee uniforms, chef's hats. They got that. cutters, cigar cutters. How about, what do you call those, wine corkscrews? They got those. Jackets, all kinds of shirts, skirts, hats, decanters, baby clothes, shoes, and so much more. All with your logo, your slogan, all hassle-free. Check out our friends at hasslefreestores.com. You will see a hassle-free stores drop-down tab on our website here in the coming days, so you'll be able to check out the USA Takedown gear, and we'd love to see you wearing some of our gear for sure. All right, are you tired of constant pain? Well, there's nothing like excruciating pain you can feel when you tweak a muscle or joint. Life does not have to hurt. My friend, physical therapist Melanie Raybeck, can help relieve your pain with positive physical therapy. A firm but tender touch can make the difference. If you're hurting and want relief, call Advantage Physical Therapy today. The number, 641-757-9898. Again, that's 641-757-9898. Conveniently located here in Des Moines at 7564 Hickman Road. It's Advantage Physical Therapy. All right, it's time for Zach's Hot Takes. While we are gauging the temperature of all of our guests throughout each and every one of our programs here on USA Takedown, Zach always brings his hot takes, and there's a reason for that. He's plugged into what I consider to be the who, the where, the what, the and what's now, what's hot. So what are your hot takes for the week, Zach?
When you asked me to do this a while back, during COVID and whatnot, there wasn't really a lot going on. So there was a lot of, trying to find stuff. But this week we actually have a lot. We have a lot of different bullet points, as you can see on your paper there.
Right.
But let's start off with next week, October 20th. The Nittany Lion Wrestling Club is putting on another Rockfin card. So they're going to have, I don't know how many matches, like 10 or so like that. Another stacked lineup. Obviously, we know that they have a lot of really good wrestlers there.
Mm-hmm.
They got some game opponents too. So some of those matchups here that we have Bo Bartlett and Bryce Meredith. Now Bryce Meredith's going to have a busy month coming up, couple of weeks. He's got a match with Austin DeSanto as well on the Hawkeye Wrestling Club Showdown.
How old is Bryce now?
How old is Bryce now? Well, he's a couple years removed from college, so I don't know how many years he would have done. But yeah, probably
25, 26. I think that's about right.
Yeah, something in that range there.
So he's got a busy schedule. Who else have they named for the potential card?
For the Nittany Lion Wrestling Club,
right.
The Nittany Lion Wrestling Club. Also, they have Nick Lee and Brock Zackrell. Now, I've been on Twitter for a long time now, and I've been watching Brock Zackrell since he graduated, just kind of thirsty for a matchup, saying, "Pick me, let me wrestle." And now he's got a very tough opponent. He's got Nick Lee, so I'm super excited for that matchup.
Nick Lee, I love that guy.
Yeah, Nick Lee's an absolute monster. He's coming off a huge college season. So that's another big one there, a Clarion and Penn State matchup. We also have Roman Bravo Young, RBY versus Shelton Mack.
What's your takeaway? I mean, what are your thoughts on that matchup? I like Roman Bravo Young, obviously.
Yeah.
But his opponent?
Shelton Mack. So Shelton Mack with Titan Mercury Wrestling Club. I'm going to go ahead and say that this is probably not an easy one, but it was probably more favorable for RBY. Obviously, RBY is one of the best guys in the country right now. So I'm looking at RBY there. The next match that we have here is Jason Nolf and Bubba Jenkins. So Bubba Jenkins actually, he's kind of the Nittany Lion killer. Back in the day, he took out David Taylor in the NCAA finals. Now he's got Jason Nolf. Obviously, very different time period. Bubba Jenkins, he's been an MMA fighter as of recently.
But remember, he was at Penn State when Cale Sanderson got there.
Originally, yes.
He made some charges that Cale made it readily apparent that Bubba wasn't welcome there.
Yeah,
okay?
yeah.
Bubba needed a home. He and I were talking. I said, have you thought about Arizona State? And he hadn't up to that point, but ended up at going to Arizona State. So he goes to Arizona State and makes it his
prerogative.
Makes it his. He definitely makes it a prerogative. Yes, but he wants to beat anybody and everybody from Penn State.
Yeah.
And he gets it done in the finals. In the championship, he raises his hand as the champ. I just think that coming back at this age, I wonder what he skipped, how rusty he is on the mat. I get it that every MMA star has got to have a regimen that does include wrestling. After all, that is the very grounding of a good MMA artist, right? But if you look at Bubba Jenkins' time away, I wonder if the younger guys right now would hold an advantage over an aging Bubba Jenkins.
Well, we're going to find out. There's only one way to find out. If you go ahead and subscribe to Rockfin, make sure that you subscribe through Kale's channel so you don't get in trouble. Because he will call you out on Twitter if you don't.
No, what are you talking about? Why would people get in trouble?
So the way that the Rockfin platform works is basically whenever you sign up for an account and pay for an account, you can pick a creator to support.
Okay.
So if you're signing up to watch their event, make sure you pick them.
So Kale's channel, is it actually called Kale's channel?
No, NLWC.
NLWC, Nittany Lion Wrestling Club. I'm highly supportive of that club. Connie and the group there at the Nittany Lion Wrestling Club. They've been doing great things since even before Kale was there, when Troy was there, Troy Sunderland. But Nittany Lions, is it true they're taking an entire year off? Are they redshirting everybody?
That's the rumor. Our boy Pat Minio actually said that get ready for a mass redshirt season for the Nittany Lions. Don't know if that's true. Pat usually is right. Sometimes he's wrong. We're going to find out. If that's the case, that's good news for the Iowa Hawkeyes.
Happy anniversary to Pat Minio, by the way. 5,000 followers now.
Yes.
For all that is the Wrestling Room. So we congratulate the family that is the Wrestling Room and all that great content. Tell you what, up against the clock, come back, more open chat. On the other side of it, Zach will continue with his hot takes, brought to you in part by the Stalemate Show on YouTube. So stay tuned. More. This is USA Takedown on ESPN Radio. Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. Casper and Bogle will be right back with more USA Takedown.
The Defense Soap Facts. Dateline, Cleveland, Ohio. For 12 years, he competed. For 17 years, he coached. And for 30 years, he's policed the streets of Cleveland. He saw teams and programs decimated by skin-borne disease, a wrestler's worst nightmare. He didn't like the chemical-based products on the market and knew that there had to be a better way. A better defense. He found religion in the ingredients that make up the basis for Defense Soap. Tea tree and eucalyptus oil. Defense Soap. All natural, safe to use. It's available around the world now at defensesoap.com. Communities need leaders. The birthplace of Bob Feller, Van Meter, Iowa, has too. Paul Szynski and Jim Sinclair have always been there for their community and for the thing that drives us, wrestling. In a position to help or need a cause to get behind, your neighbors and friends can use a hand. Leaders always come together to help, to plan, and to work to make their communities a better place to live. So special thanks to Jim Sinclair and Paul Szynski, two examples of men who lead. Follow these two professionals on LinkedIn for investment opportunities and more. The term barbarian was first used in ancient Greece. The athletes were said to be barbarians. Today's modern athletes embrace the hard work when wearing the great gear from Barbarian Apparel. You make the choice: custom graphics, the best sublimation, colors that pop, and logos that matter. Barbarian provides great service before and after the process. Make the right choice. Choose Barbarian Apparel. BarbarianApparel.com.
You can go to New York City, cross Broadway, 5th, 42nd. I don't care where unaccosted, even against the light. There's nobody there.
They make so much money, though, when they're open.
That's
Over
debatable.
$1 billion?
A certain percentage, I'm sure, make money, but most theatrical productions either open or close within 6 weeks, right?
So sad.
You know what they say, though, right?
What that
the
is.
The neon lights are bright on Broadway.
But I saw the lights go out on Broadway, and it's truly a prophetic song done by Mr. Billy Joel. The lights did go out on Broadway from the battery to the sound. And that, my friends, is how it's done. Billy Joel saying that he saw the Empire State laid low. If we could only get that song up on this very portion of the show. Is that impossible? That we Google that thing while we're
think about this in advance next time.
No, we shouldn't. It's just a train of thought.
If I did
Train's
that,
off the track.
I would turn off the recorder. So, yeah, we can't do that, Scott.
Danny
Sorry.
Bishop, the other voice, joining us this morning. Danny, open segment. We're talking to Zach in the Stalemate Show. segment of the program where Zach gives us his hot takes. We covered the Nittany Lion Wrestling Club event coming up October 20th. Remember, make sure to watch that event through the Nittany Lion Wrestling Club event channel. That way they get credit, and that's how they're making money for the club. I love the idea. I think it's an outstanding opportunity for the club to be self-funded and not always go out with, and every club in the country, by the way, where it has its hand out looking for donations. Well, donations are one thing, but if you can be self-sufficient in many regards, I challenge you to do so. The Nittany Lion Wrestling Club's events are holding out a good template.
Yes.
Template, yeah. For you to model your event after. The Hawkeye Wrestling Club is doing just that. I don't know that they're modeling it after the NLWC, but the Hawkeye Wrestling Club event's coming up as well. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, obviously, Hawkeyes, they got a lot of talent in their room right now. So let's start at the top, man. The main event, Spencer Lee and Zach Sanders. So this is one of those things, like Spencer Lee's been running the game for a few years now. A lot of people kind of see him as a young gun still. But he's facing Zach Sanders, the Minnesota Gopher. I'm sure you've interviewed Zach Sanders before. Mm-hmm. This is, a lot of people are saying Spencer Lee's the heavy favorite, but you never know, especially with COVID going on, who's training, who's not. Excited for that one. Sarah Hildebrandt versus Aaron Golston. Another big matchup there. Sarah Hildebrandt recently got the Outstanding Wrestler Award at Senior Nationals. Austin DeSanto and Bryce Meredith. We just mentioned Bryce Meredith wrestling in the NLWC event that's coming up. Austin DeSanto, though, man, I don't care what people say. He is the number one draw in wrestling. Because you don't know what's going to happen, man. That guy, he's not on social media. We don't get to see a lot of interviews with this guy. He's one of one. And he's personally, as a Cyclone fan, I was a fan of DeSanto before he went to Iowa. He was at Drexel. I love watching Austin DeSanto wrestle.
Is Austin DeSanto the antithesis of Patrick Downey?
Explain. I'm going to need more explanation.
Well, antithesis, the exact opposite of Patrick Downey. No self-promotion, lets his actions speak. Not that Patrick Downey can't let his actions speak, but he chooses to run his mouth as well.
You could see that. I mean, either way, I think both those guys are, in different ways, they're exciting to watch.
I think that's well put, Zach.
Yeah.
All right. Before we get to the next on the list, and yeah, we will take one more break. If you will, the Stalemate show has become the talk of the town, coast to coast, border to border. Everybody's talking about it. My guests that I book out 2-3 weeks in advance are always talking about my co-host Zach Bogle. Now, I don't know, what are your thoughts about that, Zach? It seems like they're putting a lot of pressure on you to perform. Agree or not?
To perform? I don't feel the pressure. What do they say? They say pressure makes diamonds. So, I don't want to be self-fulfilling or anyway, but no pressure, man. I'm just having fun, and I like, doing the show every week with you. And
what's the most recent drop for Stalemates?
Eric Thompson, Iowa legend, man. That guy, coming from Waverly Shell Rock, national champion for Grandview, and now he's helping out Cale Sanderson. So
nephew to the great one, Tully Thompson.
Okay. Yeah. I didn't know that. I didn't ask him that. I should have known.
Tully Thompson, one of the greats. Love that guy. All right, about a minute left in the show, and I do want to thank all of our sponsors, all of our guests. First and foremost, our guests today, Joe Williamson, Lauren Louise, Kyle Rochelle, Allie Reagan, and Matt Geeks host Jacob Hughley. Do want to thank you for listening. It's very important that we know that you're listening. Do check in with us on social. Look for me in particular on social. I'll be happy to look for you. And I can't really add you real quick, but I sure would like to. It's just that I'm at my limit right now. So says the social media giant that is Facebook. But you can also follow us on Twitter, on Instagram, and we encourage you to do so because that's how we communicate best with you besides being on the show. Next week marks the return of One Chael Son of the Mouth That Roared, the original bad boy. He will be joining us with his take on MMA. MMA has not skipped a beat in terms of competition with the Fight Island and all that, but we encourage you to tune in for the return of Chael Son, and that's next week. All right, originally scheduled in this segment was Johnny Clark, unable to make it because of a conflict with a meeting. I can't tell you any more about it, but Johnny Clark and Sacred Heart got it going on, and I'm very excited to see what the future brings. All right, for all of us, we thank you for listening. For our executive producer, Joshua Rielitz, our producer, Danny Boy Bishop, for Zach Bogle, and everybody at Iowa Sports Leader, 1350 ESPN, this has been another exciting edition of USA Takedown, usatakedown.com. We'll talk to you next week.